Toyota is a brand today associated with reliability and dependability, and let's be honest, ubiquity. They're everywhere. So it might come as some surprise that the desire to win at all costs and the negligence displayed within the top echelons of Toyota back in the late 60s would see their story best described in two very different words: death and controversy. This is the story of the Toyota 7. The Toyota 7 was a joint venture between Japanese auto giant Toyota and motorcycle and components manufacturer Yamaha. In reality, the 7 was a series of race cars, composed of three distinct generations, a reality for many race cars of the late 60s as rules were being changed all the time. It was a period of extreme technological advancement in motorsport, but it's worth remembering that these cars were still relatively primitive by today's standards. Not just in terms of performance and understanding of aerodynamics, but critically in terms of safety. In fact, for many, safety was an afterthought, if a thought at all, and with cars beginning to push comfortably over 200 miles per hour during testing, there was no margin for error. Development of the first iteration of the Toyota 7 began in earnest in mid-1967. Known as the 415S internally, this brand new car was built around an all-aluminium monocoque, produced by Yamaha. The body was in line with many of the other cars created to race in the FIA Group 7 class, sporting a sleek fiberglass body with a mid-engine design layout. Toyota designed a whole new engine for the car, a 3-litre aluminium V8 capable of producing up to 300 brake horsepower. As this was being developed, the FIA changed its rules. Strange, I know, the FIA would never do something like that, which would make the Toyota 7 eligible to race in the FIA Group 6 prototype class instead. Developing a new engine takes time, and the team were keen to get data on the rest of the vehicle while the engine remained in development. To do this, they stuck a 2-litre V6 from the 2000 GT in the car to test it. On the 28th of March 1968, they tested the 7 with its shiny new V8 for the very first time. It was found almost immediately that at high speeds the rivets holding the monocoque together had a tendency to shake themselves loose. The very next day the project suffered its first disaster. Test driver Yoshio Otsubo crashed at Fuji Circuit while testing for the upcoming Japanese Grand Prix. Miraculously, Otsubo survived the crash and was even spared from serious injuries, though it did irreparable damage to his relationship with the team. In response to this clear fault, more reinforcement was added to the car. This certainly helped its rigidity, but it also left the car significantly heavier than its initial 680 kg weight, now clocking in at around 800 kg. Despite the setbacks, the car was ready to compete in 1968, though the 1968 Japanese Grand Prix was certainly not its finest hour. Its engine was simply underpowered when compared to the Chevrolet V8 being used by their main rivals Nissan and Lola, and to make matters worse, the car was massively overweight when compared to the cars racing in the lower classes. The highest position achieved by a Toyota 7 was a measly 8th place. The 415S continued to participate in endurance races and achieved a reasonable amount of success, a welcome break after the failure of the Japanese Grand Prix. Its first competition victory came on the 30th of June, when it won the All Japan Suzuka Auto Racing Tournament, quickly followed by the Fuji 1000 km on the 21st of July, and the 12 Hours of Suzuka on August the 4th. Before any of this success, however, development of the new 7, known internally as the 474S, was already underway. They completely redesigned the body of the car, creating what would form the basis of the 7 that we all know from Gran Turismo. But the changes were far more than skin deep. In fact, this new 7 bore no resemblance at all to its predecessor. They ditched the aluminium monocoque in favour of a steel space frame after the 415S's early troubles. The new body was designed to generate as much downforce as possible, and they also dropped their underpowered in-house V8, choosing to test the car first with a 5.8-litre Chevrolet V8, much like those used by Nissan and Lola, but finally opting to go with a smaller 5-litre Ford Cosworth V8. This new engine was capable of producing 530 brake horsepower and nearly 520 Nm of torque. However, tragedy would strike before the new 7 saw competition. Toyota were testing a new closed cabin variant of their new 474S in early 1969. Toyota test driver Sachio Fukuzawa lost control of a development vehicle running the older 3-litre V8 engine at Yamaha's test facility. The car hit a metal signpost immediately after leaving the track, killing Fukuzawa instantly. This event is tragic enough, however Toyota's following actions were despicable. Immediately after the crash, before anybody outside of Toyota knew about the crash at all, they had the vehicle destroyed. Initially they refused to let authorities even look at pictures of the car, and when they finally gave authorities something to look at, it was a picture of a different vehicle. To this day, the vehicle involved has never been identified. This occurred in tandem with Toyota stating that the accident was caused by driver error, which of course there was little evidence for or against due to the destruction of any possible evidence to the contrary. With far too many questions and absolutely no answers at all, Sachio's father Shintaro Fukuzawa took legal action against Toyota in 1969, alleging negligence and obstruction of the investigation into his son's death. The legal proceedings took over 12 years to come to a close, ending in 1981, with the Fukuzawa family being awarded 61 million yen, around $500,000 in today's money. Toyota never divulged any more information about the fatal crash. Despite the recent tragedy, however, Toyota pushed on with the new 7 in 1969, the 500 kilometers of Suzuka, less than 2 months after Fukuzawa's death. The new 7 went on to win a number of important events for Toyota, including the 1,000 kilometers of Fuji and the 200-mile of Fuji race. Toyota desperately wanted to win the Japan Grand Prix though, and despite running good cars for the last 2 years, they just couldn't crack that particular event. They needed to go even faster, and so in late 1969, development of the turbocharged 578A began. The first new Turbo 7 was finished in April of 1970, with a now 800 brake horsepower twin turbocharged V8, a space frame now made of lighter aluminium composite, and other chassis tweaks to help handling and stability. Toyota were confident in the Turbo 7. But the political climate in Japan led to Toyota and Nissan pulling out of the Japan Grand Prix, and ultimately, the Japan Automobile Federation cancelled the 1970 running of the race entirely. Toyota weren't ready to give up on the Turbo 7 just yet though. They had ambitions to race the car at Le Mans, and in the Can-Am Challenge Cup. But the same day that they publicly announced these intentions, the 28th of August 1970, tragedy struck again. Toyota test driver Minoru Kawai was testing the Turbo 7 at Suzuka Circuit, when, upon exiting from a bend, the car began to spin its wheels. Kawai quickly lost control of the car, a rear-wheel drive vehicle with over 800 brake horsepower, which weighed less than 650 kilograms, and hit a deep groove in the grass. The car went airborne, and Kawai was thrown from the vehicle, dying instantly from his injuries. The second fatality in 18 months during testing for the 7 project finally persuaded Toyota to drop the project, which they did immediately. Big thank you to Tyran GT Posting for providing the Gran Turismo 5 background footage for this video. Check out Tyran on YouTube via the link in the description below. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to like it and subscribe to the Count Reefers YouTube channel for more car videos like this one. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, goodbye.